The Only Good Indians is a 2020 horror novel by Stephen Graham Jones. The story centers on four Blackfeet men who are tormented by the consequences of an elk hunt 10 years prior that broke cultural taboos, unleashing a vengeful supernatural force that begins to stalk them. All right, so I have read this book called The Only Good Indians. This was a book that I received from my school library. And this is also a book that I actually listened to via an audiobook. And I haven't used an audiobook in what feels like a lifetime ago. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to read this book rather quickly because, I was in AP Lit, the course as well. So I had other novel assignments to do. So this was kind of just like a hobby book in a way, or something to read in my free time. But yeah, I mean, overall, The Only Good Indians, I found it to be very immersive. And with the audiobook, I also found it to help with clarity's sake as well. Clarity for the story elements, and just to help me process everything that was happening. Because I will admit, the story is quite difficult to get into initially. I found myself kind of pausing and then skipping back, or doubling back during the first couple of chapters of this book, just because I think what sort of lessened my comprehension ability was because of the unclear transitions between multiple characters and timelines. It is a bit quite hard to process, for sure, but yeah, I mean, I appreciated the emotional depth. And also the descent into paranoia for some of the characters. I thought that was a huge praise that I could give for this book. It's something I really liked. I think some of the times, and I think might be a personal preference for others, I didn't too personally have a big of an issue with it, but I thought some descriptions were a bit too excessive or sometimes a bit meandering. But there were also run-on sentences that really made following the plot mildly frustrating, for sure. That's just the type of writing ability that Stephen Graham Jones does. Yeah, I mean, the book does definitely build suspense well in parts. It's sort of labeled as a psychological horror or a supernatural horror, and I definitely think it builds suspense well, for sure, in most parts. But I do think it's sort of interrupted by these very abrupt shifts in character and storyline, which sometimes makes the overall story a bit disjointed. But what I absolutely loved that Stephen Graham Jones does, and that this book does, for sure, is that it explores it explores generational trauma in a way, because of course the whole book is about this tribe, sort of living the horrors that their ancestors 10 years back did, and now they're living with this psychological supernatural demon in the midst. And I think it also definitely talks about this burden that's placed on younger generations to sort of break the harmful cycles that their previous ancestors did. And I think that's definitely something applicable to today, not in just a Native American tribe, but of course in anywhere in society, trying to break the cycle that our parents did, and trying to become better people on our own. And so, yeah, I definitely found that to be the more emotionally captivating components of this book. And yeah, while I definitely thought that there were some moments of horror and tension that were super compelling, again, it just felt like they were often fleeting, and they were often followed by these confusing narrative shifts that really just sapped the momentum. And so, it's sort of going and then it's just a sharp decline. And I don't know. The book definitely has its powerful moments, for sure. It has strong themes, but I definitely think what sort of lowers this book's standards is the pacing, which is sometimes inconsistent, the very complex structure, and just, the dense prose. Again, I mentioned the descriptions are kind of excessive at some points, pretty dense. And so I do think that this is a novel that might not appeal to everyone. I thought this book was like good for me. I did enjoy reading it for the most part. And but I would definitely, consider that you as an audience really try reading some reviews before you sort of commit to making this type of purchase. Fortunately, this was something I borrowed from the library and I still have. They kind of just gave it to me, or at least my creative writing teacher just gave it to me. But yeah, I would just say read some reviews. I went into this book completely empty-minded about what it was about, and I still kind of enjoyed it, but I know there's some moments of animal brutality that some people had some iffiness about. And yeah, I mean, just the writing style itself, there's like run-on sentences, and I've read a lot of books, so I know how, I'm familiar with that type of writing style. It might annoy some other people. It didn't especially annoy me, but yeah, I still definitely think that overall it's a very suspenseful read. It's an original book, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm going to give The Only Good Indians a 7 out of 10. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.